Hello everyone. Today's session is about turn OpenStack Swift into an enterprise file sync and share solution. So when it comes to an enterprise file sync and share solution, the first element is people and the Active Directory. As you can see here on the screen, you have Active Directory. The user is there, and also if you were an OpenStack Swift administrator, you're pretty familiar with the screen here. It's the Openstack Web Portal. And if you are familiar with the Gladinet Cloud Enterprise sync and share solution, you are very familiar with the login page. And here's the web browser client. You can log in to the web portal. And when you are at the web portal, you're going to see you can have like HTML5, Ajax kind of interface, and then you can also have Mac, Windows, and iPhone, Android, different access clients that can see the same files and folders. So the OpenStack Swift is the backend storage, and then the Gladinet Cloud Enterprise and its access clients provides the access and the file sync and share part of the solution. So that's the end result. So with the end result, what we are going to do is we're going to start all over and show you how the whole thing can be done. So what we are going to do is we're going to log in to the Active Directory first and create a new user. So we are going to name the user E101, so employee 101. And we are going to give the user login name E101, and we need to provide the password so the user can log in first. So this step represents a Active Directory user, right? So if you are a big enterprise, you may have tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of users, but it doesn't matter, right? So an Active Directory user is an Active Directory user. And the second step is we're going to create a home directory container for the user. So let's say E101 home will be the container for employee 101. So here are some of the preparation steps. So now we're going to log off and log in as the administrator. As you can see here, we already have over 25,000 users in the system here. So that's not a lot of users, but more than enough for the admin to manage over the graphical user interface. So what we are going to do is another important feature for the enterprise solution, which is the scripting interface. So we will be using PowerShell to provision the user. So PowerShell, under the PowerShell, there's the API, so the Gladinet User Management API. So you can either use the PowerShell or write your own C#, Python, whatever language you prefer to integrate the Gladinet Cloud Enterprise into your enterprise portal, user self-provision, self-service portal. You can do that, so the service can be provisioned to the user. So in this case, we're going to be using the PowerShell to show you the scripting interface that comes with the Gladinet Cloud Enterprise. So the first thing we're going to do is import module, the PowerShell module, which is the GCE automation. And we are using the PowerShell ISE, and then if you are new to the PowerShell, the ISE is your friend because it shows the side panel for the help. So the first thing you need to do is to log in. You need to log in as the admin to provision the users. So username Joe. Joe is the admin. And then you need to provide the password, and the password is not too complicated here in the test environment here. So the login is done, so we can take a quick glance of the login, the returned value, and you can see the cookie and everything is filled in. So that means the login is successful. So you can see you can log in over and script interface. So the next thing we want to do is to create a like an OpenStack storage configuration, right? So each user will be mapped to his own or her own OpenStack container. So what we are going to do is we're going to create a storage config string that will be used. So we're going to be using the PowerShell ISE to help us create and prepare these parameters. And then because this is scripting interface, right? So once you are familiar with the script, you can just put it in, put it together. It's a one-time effort, and then that could be integrated into the employee self-service portal. So now we get the config string that's pointing to the user's container. So now we are going to use the command add user by UPN. UPN is user principal name. So if you're an Active Directory admin, you are pretty familiar with the term UPN. That's the uniquely identified a user in an Active Directory. So we're going to be using, like AAA, BBB as placeholders for the login token. So we're going to change that later. So just use the ISE as a helper tool to help us insert some commands here. But the login token, we're going to be replacing that with the login token we got from our login command. And then we're going to be replacing the storage config with the config string we prepared for the user. So now the user is importing, the system is importing the user from the Active Directory. And then once we take a look at the user returned, the GUID, the global unique ID for the user is returned, and it's not 0. So that means the GUID, the user was created successfully. So now this step is optional. You don't have to do, but you may want to just create a default folder for the user. Sometimes you may want to say, hey, I want to create a documents folder. I want to create a pictures folder. But in the demonstration here, we just create a user's home home directory. There could also be like team folders and things like that, but for now we just stay with the user's home directory. And then it's created. That's good. So you can see with 3 or 4 commands, scripting commands, then the user was provisioned, and now the user will be able to log in to the file sync and share solution here and start using the solution from different devices, right? So the first thing to check out is the web interface, because that's kind of kickstarts all the other stuff, right? You can see here that my home directory was provisioned for the user. It's a version folder, and then the user can also download the different access clients. The Windows client that has a map a drive to it, a Mac client that has a Finder will have a volume to it. The iOS and Android will all have you can see the files and folders there. So everything's ready, right? Including the web client, the Windows client, the Mac client, the mobile client, right? So we can do drag and drop upload, and we don't have to do it from local, right? Because it's over the web now. So as long as the endpoint it has a SSL and has a DNS, you can access that from remote locations, right? So you can see this OpenStack Swift becomes the backend storage, and then the Gladinet Cloud Enterprise becomes the front end, providing the file sync and share solution. We can also launch a Windows client, so we will do it in another session. So we just get started, but there will be more sessions coming to cover more different client devices. Thanks, everyone.